Welcome back to the weekly power ranking. This week we are doing our special once in a split Shittalk edition. Please keep in mind that this video is for entertainment purposes. If you can't take a joke, why are you using the internet? Anyways, let's dive into this week's power ranking. Number 23, Sawbi Glacial, last time's ranking, 21. At the beginning of the split I was doubted for putting this team at number 18. Well, I was wrong with that placement, since the Bull team is, at least for today, last. Against good Chiyang in the upcoming week they can prove once more that they are not made for playoffs. Number 22, Dog Crimson Flames, last time's ranking, 22. The Dogs managed to draw Linkstream, congratulations. In the upcoming week they face the Grubbers, a matchup that feels like an 6th-tier football matchup, where you get the feeling that everyone watching would play better. But hey, at least the name is edgy. Number 21, Linkstream, last time's ranking, 20. Once the powerhouse of the SLE, Estonia has gone down a dark path. Yes, the team is not rival Lynx, yet many would have thought this team can reach playoffs. This is the evidence that throwing tons of money at raw steel doesn't create a new car. Our favorite local community has gone from top to bottom really quick. Number 20, Grubbers, last time's ranking, 24. The Worms are on an all-time high draw streak, way more than people would have ever expected. Of course they are still a bottom 3 team in the SLE and they are done with playing the weakest teams, so we can expect to go back to the losing Grubbers on a weekly base. Number 19, Black Lotus Esports SNC, last time's ranking, 18. Is Black Lotus for real? No, of course not. They look good against weaker teams, but in the end there are too many issues on that roster. Jungler Shizu making a speed run to become the first player to not make playoffs on 2 different teams in consecutive regular seasons. Number 18, Peachfish Wolf, last time's ranking, 19. People used to make jokes about this team being Swedish, but apparently it's even worse. The team is trying everything to make people forget about their poor in-game performance. Infighting and the edgy urge to affiliate with D-Wowzer makes this the next Project Imperia. At least they are playing versus Black Lotus, where they could actually get a win. Number 17, Silver Phoenix, last time's ranking, 14. Every time you get excited about this team, they let you down. A deserved loss to DVN shows why this team, despite enormous individual talent, can never achieve anything in this league. Usually this is the point where I would say, fly, Phoenix, fly, but I feel more like die, Phoenix, die. Number 16, Slim Odds, last time's ranking, 17. From one disappointment OT the next. Slim Odds is making their next run for the 16th spot, as they play good enough to not be like PWF, but not good enough to ever contend with a top 15 team. Should have renamed to Slime Odds. Number 15, Shaka Ban 2, last time's ranking, 13. Shaka Ban 2 has broken their curse of drawing every single match with losing to Vagen Diamond. But what can you expect from a team with the disappointment top laner Mashi, who always falls short of expectations? Keep on disappointing. We have good examples of the past on where that road ends. Number 14, Good Chiyang, last time's ranking, 16. There is enough to say about this team, but there is one player on the roster who is clearly the most delusional player of the SLE. Los Murderato has shown many times that he has no insight on the game, yet he enters every discussion. Ever since he started to look for beef with the entire SLE, his performance dropped and he has become nothing more than a laughingstock for many. What a downfall for the ex-regular season champion who has become the stone dragging his team down. Number 13, Vagen Pearl, last time's ranking, 15. At one point this roster was deemed the number 1 in the power rankings, but weeks of bad performance of this super team has led to being a bottom 4 team in the league. At least Dutch is going the Dutch way, aka benching the players who don't suck him off enough. Maybe it will work this time. Number 12, Infernal Wolves B, last time's ranking, 10. The Wolves are maybe the least interesting team of the SLE. Not good enough to be in anyone's top 9 and not bad enough to make fun of. At least their mascot, the Wolf, is cool. Maybe we can request to watch Wolf documentaries instead of needing to watch this team. Number 11, Ragnarok, last time's ranking, 12. Ragnarok is back to beating the helpless. The roster that never won against a main contender, but always managed to look good on paper, is back to a winning record. Ragnarok is on their best way to completely disappoint in playoffs once more. Number 10, Dangerous Game, last time's ranking, 6. Dangerous Game is dropping down the rankings as if they were Lurgs times 5. It's become a meme to joke about Lurgs, but when you consider that his entire team is inting even more than he is, you see why Dangerous Game is not really dangerous. Number 9, Sneck Pack SNC, last time's ranking, 11. Sneck Pack is starting to look like a team again, but don't let that fool you. They are still the inconsistent frauds, who will lose next week, draw the one after and in the end finish somewhere between 12 and 16. Many viewed this team as the number 1 Sanctuary team back in August last year, but now the question is if this team or Black Lotus is the worst playing in the SLE. Number 8, Solaris Eris, last time's ranking, 7. I remember when though this team is on the rise. Well, against the Assassins they looked more than beatable and their aspiration to become a top 3 team looks like the foolish dream of a pig that wants to fly with the birds. Maybe another full rebrand with kicking the entire roster like last split could help. Number 7, DVN Infiniti, last time's ranking, 9. DVN is somehow managing to stay at the top third of the SLE, despite their roster clearly lacking good players. Don't let that fool you, their victories have been only against weak and disappointing teams. It has to be expected that they will be slaughtered by Yin in the upcoming week. Number 6, Vagen Diamond, last time's ranking, 8. Vagen Diamond has also broken their month of draws with a win over Failure Ban 2. The roster featuring notorious SLE players that never won anything such as Shipex, has Grandpa coming back after 3 splits to get another beating or Jessager, a support with a playstyle so boring that many forget he even is a top 5 support. Number 5, Wacky Wraiths SNC, last time's ranking, 2. I think we can finally bury the thought of Wacky being a favorite. With the highest solo queue bot lane by far in the SLE, they should be winning that lane every single time, but against good Chiyang they have been completely outclassed. Maybe it's time for this roster to retire and do something less stressful like playing golf. Number 4, Good Chiyang, last time's ranking, 5. Yay, another split, another supposed super team created by Good Chi to win the SLE. Despite this, they have shown clearly that they are not a super team but rather a contender at maximum. Number 3, Black Flag Sailors SNC, last time's ranking, 1. The Sailors have been exposed by Eternal Blizzard. A team that should be 3-7 and not 7-3, if not for their opponents donating them wins, and that somehow is managing to make people believe that they are good. Well, they are not and they will prove that in the upcoming weeks. Let's see how Linus will still try to make them look like a contender. Number 2, Assassins and Greed SNC, last time's ranking, 3. The Assassins have started winning again, despite their lack of good players below the top lane. It's the Geordie show and I think at this point they would play better if they play just with him. At least their mid laner Trouble Bubble is doing everything he can to show why this team has greed in their name. Number 1, Eternal Blizzard, last time's ranking, 4. And on number 1 is Eternal Blizzard. You could think that this team is too good to be shit-talked, so I will show you for each player individually why they are not the stars you think of them. The top laner god of hacks can only play Gragas. Besides that, all he does is yap all day about nonsense. IFX is a Viego OTP that has many wondered if hacks should acutely play jungle for EB. Their mid laner Barakagama is bringing the disappointment from the goblins to EB, showcasing the most boring gameplay of the SLE. Shikioran is the bot laner notorious for not winning the SLE with the strongest rosters in every split. A two-trick pony that can only play Samira and Nilla. And their support is the supposed support Goat Loco, who has always managed to put good players around him to make himself look good. Honestly, bench the entire roster and play 5 times with Ichi, he plays each role better than the main roster. That was the Week 5 power ranking. I'm glad I'm over with this since there is nothing more depressing than thinking about some of these teams. That being said, next week we will have the wholesome power ranking, so everyone who can't take flame can take compliments for sure.
I am lost.